love, what's up? Welcome to Confidently Uncomfortable. I'm your host, J.Go, health and lifestyle coach and not-so-regal confidence queen. Coming at you with the real, the raw, and of course, the uncomfortable. My mission is to show you that to be confident, it has absolutely nothing to do with being perfect or having it all together, and everything to do with you getting uncomfortable and pushing your limits. Thanks for joining me. Let's dive in. Hey y'all, I'm coming from a place of just having such an amazing weekend. It is the day after my Go.Retreat, my very first live retreat. And, my heart is so happy. My throat's a little scratchy, but I'm happy to be here to just talk about that and share my experience and share even the uncomfortable parts. I'm going to get real about it. But just wanted to tell you guys everything that happened in my life during that weekend, as well as, pull some lessons from it that I think you guys are going to like as well, because I always talk to you guys about going confidently uncomfortable with your life. And I got hella uncomfortable with something that I've never done before, but it's such a process. I'm still processing that I brought on my good friend that I've known since we were three, Alex, who is going to be kind of interviewing me about this weekend, so we can really get some good feedback from her. I love her perspective. You will hear more from her because, she is the one that edits this podcast. And then eventually we're going to have her on as a guest as well. So Alex, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Jordan. Crazy to be on the other side of the microphone.
I know, right? Oh my gosh. Yeah. We're taking the editing hat off and you're coming back into the chair. I love it.
Yes. Well, I'm so excited to hear about your weekend and even about, going over the last couple of months and seeing how it's all come together.
Yes, me too. It's definitely been quite a journey. And I've talked on it a little bit on Instagram and to other people as well, but I'm looking forward to really being super vulnerable and honest with everything and sharing the amazing aspect of it as well, because it was so unreal, surreal, so happy about it. So
Aww. I'm so excited. Okay, so this started as a little idea that you had a year and a half ago, right?
Yes. So actually I talked about this when I was talking to the girls this weekend. I had this idea when I first started my business. I knew I wanted to do live retreats. I really enjoyed, live connection. I come from a group fitness background. I used to work with people in person. I used to work with people in the gym. And so that was the one thing that I'm I really miss being in person and making that kind of impact. So I had this dream, but actually, I don't know if I told you this, Alex, when I've had this dream for a while. When I was in first grade, my teacher asked me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I drew this picture of me in front of a podium, in front of this crowd of people. It was a stick figure, so it wasn't great. But I was talking to a crowd of people, and I said that I wanted to be a preacher.
Really?
So yes, and so I really felt just speaking in front of an audience like this was truly what I was meant to be doing. And so it kind of turned from that, shifting into this kind of retreat aspect. But yes, over the past year and a half, with all the things going on in the world, I had been planning this retreat.
Right. I mean, you're still preaching a little bit, just different message than probably what you thought in the beginning.
Absolutely. But I think it's the right one, aligned with me.
Yeah, I think so. That's crazy. Little kid would think to do that.
Well, me and you as little kids had big dreams too, that'll be another episode about our entrepreneurial dreams as young kids, but we'll get there.
We're still living it.
Oh, we are.
Okay. So it started to come to fruition about a year and a half ago. And I know it's been a lot of crazy planning with COVID and things like that. But once you knew that it was happening, kind of what was the process there? I mean, what kind of things did you do that you never done before?
Oh, okay. Well, once I knew that it was happening, a couple times we had to move it. So I guess I'll backtrack a little bit. So we had planned for it to be May of 2020, and that was the plan. And then, the world shut down. We're oh yeah, we'll push it to September of 2020. Everything will be back to normal by then. LOL. And then we decided to move it back another year. So we had technically moved it, I don't know, 2 or 3 times. And we got to the point where we signed the dotted line. We were contractually going to be working with this amazing resort, Wild Dunes in Charleston, South Carolina. And I had to tell myself, all right, this is it. Like you've made that commitment to show up. So now you need to actually show up and do the shit that you need to do. And so that year kind of was focusing on a lot of different things, getting girls to come, getting people excited about the retreat, the event, but then also the details behind it, which is something, I mean, because you work with me, I am not type A. I am not detail oriented. So I'm so lucky that my event planner was there to do all of the things, but she was with me for a year and a half, and she is also my sister-in-law. So it was a huge journey with her for sure.
Mm-hmm. And did you reach out to any other people to like help you get started?
So yes, actually, I mean, I had this dream, right? But it was something that I've never done before, and I mean, I don't know a lot of people that do host retreats. So I actually reached out to a girl, Lindsay Schwartz, who had come onto my masterclass before, my mastermind before, and talked to us about event planning and that she does events. And I basically slid into her DMs and was like, hey girl, like I'm planning this event. I've never planned it before. I feel pretty lost, confused, and overwhelmed. And she was like, normally I don't do this, but I'll get on a call with you. So I get on a phone call with her and, I'm able to get such a clearer vision on what my event can look like, not only now, but going forward, because she, started with a small audience. She started with, just having this dream of this retreat. And now she has like 400 people coming to her event. And she really helped me see what all was possible and helped me realize that I'm not behind. I can continue to succeed with this event. I just need to, actually start doing the things. I found myself so often when I'm overwhelmed, I go into analysis paralysis. I basically freeze and I don't do anything because I feel like I have too much to do. I don't know where to start, and it can be very overwhelming. And when you run a business, you get used to doing those things and it's fine. But then when you start something new, a lot of those previous, habits and mindsets, and I call it your limiting beliefs, inner mean girls, they'll come back out. And so that's definitely what happened during this. So having the conversation with her was really, really helpful. I got off the call. She really explained like working with sponsors, how to reach out to them, how to, get the people excited about the event, how to, like, I talked about the structure of the event, and all of that was really, really helpful to reach out to a mentor. And I think a lot of times our ego tells us like, we should be able to do this on our own. Like, if you ask for help in something, then you're failing. And I tell my clients this all the time that asking for help is just helping you get from point A to point B in a more structured and clearer way, opposed to just trying to close your eyes and point at what the next step is for you. And so if I'm asking my clients to do that, or other people to reach out to me as their coach, it's okay for me to ask for help as well. And that was a big, lesson to relearn as I went into this next phase of my business. So definitely helpful.
That's awesome that she was able to help you in that way. So
Absolutely.
You mentioned you ran into those limiting beliefs a little bit of like, not being I'm not detail oriented, or, your ego needed to be set aside. Like, what else did you run into?
Oh man. Okay. So many things. So I guess the limiting beliefs was like, just feeling like who am I to serve these women and talk about confidence? Like, you're struggling with this right now. And I cannot believe like you think that you're able to pull this off. You're not structured, or you're not organized. Like, you can't do this. And again, like I had to focus more on the impact that I wanted to make from this event. And I had to stop focusing so much on, I needed it to be perfect, or I needed it to be, the biggest event ever, and the first event I've ever had. And I think by releasing that ego of thinking that it had to look a certain way, and start focusing on like the impact that I can make on the women that are showing up, it really helped shift my mindset, and it helped me break up with things needing to be perfect and focus more on things needing to be, a deep impact for each individual woman that showed up that weekend. And then the other thing was recognizing that I can't do it all, and that's okay. Oftentimes, like, again, that's ego talking. We're trying to do every single thing and all on our own. And because if we have someone else help us out, then we're failing, then we're like not doing enough. And I don't know who taught us that lesson, but it is bullshit. Like, it is so important to reach out to your community in different aspects. And so I had so many different people that were surrounding me that I don't like, even the girls that went to this event, they don't realize the impact they made by just, believing in me the first year, but then also the team that I had around me that was supporting me. So I'll kind of go through them real quick if that's cool. So I had Acacia Salazar Robinson is my sister-in-law, and she, I told her this dream. We were just at a family event. I told her that I wanted to do this, and she just jumped all in and was like, let's do it. Like, she was so supportive. Everything kept coming up in the world, and she always just supported me and was like, you can do this. You got this. And to have someone that's in your corner and constantly telling you got this, like, it made such a difference. I would have quit so many times if I didn't have her, because she is so detail oriented. I was able to talk about the big picture with her, and then she would figure out the steps between getting there. And that was a really, really important gift to have. And it's okay that I don't possess that, power. Another big person is you, actually, Alex. Like,
Mm-hmm.
y'all, you don't know, but like, Alex is like this is just magical human who, like, I was talking about this last night with Tom. So like, I'm just going to say
Wow.
what I was saying in the car about you. So just take it all in. So basically I'll talk about what was going on in a second, but basically I was having a really hard time, and I have been going back and forth with Alex because she helps me with project management, big picture thinking, and really getting it in line with like what I want to achieve. And she's like, do you want to just get on a FaceTime as friends, like, and just like chat and talk through this? Like, this is a lot right now. And I was like, yes, please. So we ended up talking for, I think it was over an hour and a half.
For sure. Yeah.
And for sure. And basically, I just was able to tell her everything that I'm working towards, also vent, also go through everything. And then we get off the call, and she just took everything that was like in my head and like put it onto paper and created like some action points, some things to work towards, some things I could work on, but also you taking the plate, like taking a lot of the stuff. She designed our retreat shirts, which they're so cute. I'll have to show you later.
Oh, can't wait to see.
Yeah, they're really cute. We've been learning a lot about human design, and I am a manifesting generator, and Alex is a projector. And it's really cool to see how that helps us work together. And I talked about this with Thomas. It's just like, it's so nice to have someone who can understand that I'm going to have a million different ideas at once. I might be talking about the retreat 1 second and then shift to talking about something else, talking about the podcast, talking about this. And she just like, I'm throwing it, and she's just catching it again and again and again. And not a lot of people can handle that, especially because of how I am. And so the fact that I had Alex that was always there doing that made a really huge, big part of why the event happened. And as far as hiccups that came up, I'll come back to my last person I want to thank, because it's pretty big. He's pretty big on that one. But as far as hiccups, I was already a little bit overwhelmed. I was already a little bit like, felt like I was underqualified and just not ready to do this. And then I was like, you know what? I'm doing it. I got this. And I'm kind of coming to full acceptance. Like, hey, I'll have my sister-in-law, Acacia, there. Like, it's going to be fine. She'll handle all the details. And then 2 weeks before the event, my sweet niece, Violet, so Violet Grace is Acacia's daughter, and she was 10 weeks old. And at that point, she had to go to ICU. She had to go to the hospital because she had a hole in her heart. And it's a somewhat common condition of babies. It's 1%, so I don't know how common that is. But it hit all of us really hard. And I mean, just as a mom, I know it hit Acacia hard. It hit me hard as her aunt. And then processing that in itself was hard enough. And then also having to at the same time process that my event planner, my sister, who had been with me for the past year and a half of this event, was not going to be able to be there with me. And it was hard because I had this mental, it was like this guilt of feeling upset. I felt guilty for feeling like, why is this happening to me? Because I'm like, but there's this sweet little baby girl in the hospital right now, and that needs to be the focus. So that made me almost want to just be like, what I'm doing right now doesn't matter. It's not important. So I should just quit. I literally wanted to just quit at that point. Again, that was another time I wanted to quit. And I had to basically, again, grieve the idea of what I thought the retreat was going to be, release any preconceived idea at all, and just go into, well, what can I do? What can I still do? And I didn't want to put any pressure on Acacia, but she continued to show up. She continued to, we were supporting each other through this. Like, I was supporting her as she was going into the hospital and taking care of her baby. I wanted to make sure she kept taking care of herself, but then she was supporting me after a while. And like, we were talking through some things, and hopefully it was good to kind of get our brain thinking about something else. And I believe in God's timing, and I know that there was a reason for this. So Thursday, we're going in to drive to Charleston, and that morning we find out that Violet is finally going to have her surgery. And at this point, we had been waiting for like a week and a half, almost 2 weeks for the surgery to happen. And it was a really hard waiting game for Acacia. So she was able to have the surgery. It was a successful surgery that morning on Thursday. And it was before the event started on Friday. So it was so nice for Acacia. Each day, Violet got stronger. She got out of ICU. She got the feeding tubes off. She got everything out. And it would have been hard for either of us to go into that weekend still having to, that being our main focus. And so I was so thankful that worked out. I was so thankful to have Acacia still supporting me. And then we had this other amazing, amazing person that came in to support me. And that's my husband, Tom. I could do a huge episode on him. Tom, Alex, Tommy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was probably one of the biggest supports for me. And you're allowed to like want to do things on your own, but you're also allowed to like have your person support you. I think I get really caught up in this idea of independence and like, you're a business owner, like you're a boss babe, and like you shouldn't be crying to your husband every night about this and like all of those different things. So recognizing that it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to need help, it's okay to ask for help. And I got overwhelmed with the amount of support that he gave me. It was just unreal. Like, he was there when I'm going to cry and I'm trying not to. He was there when I was literally on the ground, shaking, having a panic attack 2 weeks before, when I realized that everything had changed. He was supportive and constantly saying, what can I do to help? What can I do to help you to make this happen? I felt all this guilt because when you're going into a retreat, it's an investment. It's more of an investment up front than most things are. And I was like, Tom, like, what if we lose all this money? Like, what if we lose everything? This is more of like a break-even situation. And he was like, it's not about that. This is your dream. And you need to go all in and make it amazing if you're going to do it. And hearing your person say that is like the best feeling in the world. And so he ended up taking the role of the main event planner, which is pretty amazing. He had Acacia in his ear throughout the entire weekend, but he was running around, he was doing all the things, he was making sure everything got done and making sure I was able to be present with the girls. And that was such a cool experience. So again, I could not have done this without all of those people. And then as well as the girls that were there, because they created an environment that supported everyone else. So I'm just so grateful right now sitting here. So I'm going to try not to cry. I'm going to sip my coffee. So thank you.
Aw. I'm so happy that I could be a little part of this weekend, even though I couldn't be there in person. I really did love our conversation that we had because, we didn't normally, when we do speak, it is like about a podcast or something business related. Yeah. And so taking that step back to like our friendship that has been here for forever and just being like, what's up, girl? And then you had to like unload.
It was literally like so much.
Maybe it was like 20 minutes of just, throwing everything at me. But eventually the conversation got back to being structured. And you were like, look at this whiteboard. There's like so much on this whiteboard I need to do. And I was like, let's look at the whiteboard, like, what can I do to help you here?
And those dang whiteboards.
You were just like on the floor and there's like 2 giant whiteboards also on the floor. And you're like, but
that was me.
You had to get it out. And I was glad that I could like walk you through some of those things because, like my creative brain, like I'll run with anything. And I knew that you didn't have the capacity to be like brainstorming sleepover activities.
No,
you had a lot of other things too. So I'm so happy I was able to step in and like
It's amazing.
Do some brainstorms
Amazing.
for you on the side.
We haven't even talked about how that weekend went, so I'll have to
I
tell you about all this
know.
once because it
Yes.
was awesome.
Please do if
Just
you would like to share. Don't give away all the
yeah,
secrets. Well, I
I
guess you can,
won't.
got to save some for
I'll,
next time.
oh yeah, I will. I'll definitely talk through kind of like what we did. So
Yeah.
that whiteboard, just like everything basically, I Tom doesn't understand how I work. You do. Um, I work really well under pressure. So I had a basic idea of what I was going to be doing for the weekend, but then I started to really get into the details of like how I wanted it to flow, how I wanted it to all come together. And that was such a cool experience. Going into the weekend, like I got more clear on exactly what I wanted it to look like because I had that conversation with you, Alex, and kind of threw out some ideas. I also talked to like some of my other girlfriends who are coaches and was like, "What do you think of this?" I literally read the list of ideas that like you had
No, you
sent me.
didn't. Some of
Oh, it
those
was
are
great.
really ridiculous.
I know. And I said that too. I was like, Alex had some rosé at this email, so it gets a little crazy, but I loved it. It worked really well. So basically I won't tell everything because it's definitely the girls' experience, but I will tell kind of the theme of everything. So Friday night was like the PJ party. And we decided one thing that was really cool that I'm so glad I decided was I required everyone to have their negative COVID test. And so they were all showing up and it just made things like feel really good, safe, fun. So we had that. They checked into the Wild Dunes Resort and then they met me at this beach house that I'm sitting in right now for the PJ party. And so we had a PJ party and that was all I originally had planned, but then I shifted towards this idea of like a Mean Girls themed. And the reason I wanted to do that was because with my clients, I've talked about this on a podcast episode. I know you know that, where I talk about your inner mean girl and those limiting beliefs, the thoughts that come up into your head when you're trying to grow, when you're trying to do scary things. And I was dealing with so many of those inner mean girl thoughts trying to plan this event. I thought, what a cool way to kind of get the girls to see that as well. So they roll up to this beach house and I'll show you photos, but basically we had the movie Mean Girls was playing in the background. I created it basically like a fun bachelorette party vibe. We had like your like really pretty banner across the top. It
You're
was
like
so
really
cute.
pretty.
You're like really pretty. And they got their journals. I made these cute diamond pins I'm like obsessed with. And they were able to kind of get to know each other, get to know the girls. And like this really set the tone for the weekend. So the girls were showing up in their PJs. A lot of girls came and they didn't know anyone, which was that's a scary thing. Like I used to struggle to go to like a restaurant by myself, let alone a retreat weekend. So these girls were brave, they were powerful, and they were so open to getting to know each other. But we really set the tone that weekend with, having fun, but also being vulnerable and real and not holding back. And so, of course, like we did um, this fashion show. I gotta tell us because it's so funny because you had the
Okay.
idea and it worked really well. So I'm just telling you, like I'm talking to a friend and everyone can hang out with us too. So literally, we had this fashion. I had this fashion show idea. Alex had this fashion show idea, and it worked really well. Where basically, I paired everyone paired up. They had a partner, and one girl was the model, and the other one was the paparazzi, and they had one shot with this Polaroid and they had to get one good shot. And so basically everyone was each other's hype woman. We had all this crazy, like, when's the last time you played dress up? And like we had all these crazy costumes and the girls were amazing. They were cheering each other on. We go through all that. And then I'm like, listen, y'all, like, we're going to switch. Like, most likely, if one of the girls didn't want to be the model, they were a little more intimidated about it. So I said, so you need to hype them up even more. And so then we switched and like they got to be that and like be super confident. And it's like, it's so simple, but it's like, you were able to show that like you can have fun, you can be confident, and it literally doesn't matter what you wear. You can be in your PJs and wearing a crazy cowgirl hat, and it's still so fun. And it still shows that like you can take a part of you and still be unique and authentic to who you are, no matter what you're wearing. It literally doesn't matter. And that just set the tone for the weekend. And the girls just loved that aspect. So that was a really cool way to like start the weekend off strong. That was Friday night. So yeah, so I wanted to tell you about that first before I get anything.
I'm glad
so
you did the fashion show.
It really worked.
That idea, it came from a sleepover I went to in 8th grade. We had a PJ fashion show.
See, that's what I was thinking about with the weekend. I was thinking about, it was really cool because we had it was a very diverse group. Like we had a wide age range. And so I was a little nervous. I was like, oh, what if like there's some disconnect? So even with Mean Girls, I was texting different people like, have you seen Mean Girls before? And I knew that, and we'll get into this, my mother-in-law had not seen Mean Girls. So I was like, I
Oh,
made it the homework, and it set the tone for the weekend, and it was just a really, really good thing. Going into Saturday, whew, I just wanted everyone to have such a good time. And Tom ran like a half marathon. It was like 18,000 steps. He was just going everywhere to help like go back and
oh.
forth because we were you're
I
like,
thought
he
you meant
ran
that he
one?
like
Actually,
went to
no.
go run a half marathon to like get away from y'all. Like he would rather go run a half
maybe, but yeah, no. And he doesn't even like running. No. He was just running around for us so much that day. And so it was really cool that we got to do a 5K on the beach. And that was, I realized that was a big intimidation factor for a lot of people. A lot of people were thinking about coming on the retreat, but they were like, oh, I'm not fit enough or something like that. And
marathon.
to recognize that you didn't have to, be a certain fitness level in order to come out and like run, walk, or just skip a 5K. Like you can do that. And it was really cool because I set the tone for the girls and basically was like, wherever you're at, like do something that's going to challenge you a little bit. And it was cool. One of the stories I heard was that one of the girls who's normally like walking, other girls were wanting to jog a little bit, and so she came along with them and did that. And a couple times they would like jog during the run, and it was really, really nice during the 5K. And then on the way back, the two girls who had originally wanted to jog were just kind of walking and had slowed down, and this girl who originally wasn't going to do it at all was like, let's run to the finish line. And so they all three ran to the finish line together. And I just think it's so cool. And it might seem like, oh well, that's a small thing, but it's not. It's like all of those small little leaps of faith or challenges to yourself, like they add up to you leveling up in your confidence and trust with yourself. And it was cool to
Yeah.
see that throughout the whole weekend.
Oh my gosh, I know if we were in BCB, you would have been like cheering on that win so hard.
I know. There are so many things that I want to like, I've been reflecting on because normally, like, how I am about small wins. I'm like, celebrate that. So I tried to talk to them as a group, and I've continued to reach out to them. And I definitely stress the importance of the small wins and how that really adds up to creating change. And so we definitely stuck with that theme for sure throughout the weekend.
That's awesome. So what else did you do that day?
Oh, okay. It was very packed, but I'm excited to share it. So we finished up the 5K and everything was outside, which I think was also really cool because most conferences you go to, they're in like a stuffy room and you have to just sit under some fluorescent lights for like hours on end. And so I really liked that we kind of shifted into different environments. So they ran the 5K. It was the Rose 5K. We had the Rose sponsor, Sip Wine Water, and they were really great. I loved them. And shout out. And then they came into the brunch, and the brunch was literally in this outdoor area called like the croquet lawn. And it was just gorgeous. There were palm trees. It was green. That we had this, my sister-in-law surprised me with a backdrop, like banana balloon arch.
Oh, I saw
for
that on
like me to
Instagram.
yeah, like I didn't know that was going to be a thing. And so she just wanted me to feel like super official, and it was really, really such a sweet surprise to walk into and see that background. So we basically had this really good brunch. The girls were sitting outside, they had their journals, and I kind of talked them through, my journey. And I won't get into details on everything because that's for them, but basically we went through that, they went through that, and then they kind of connected with each other. And we did some other activities that were helping them break down walls and really get confidently uncomfortable and focus on that. And it was cool to see, these girls who had not met, they didn't know each other literally less than 24 hours ago, sitting in a group and like holding each other as some of them cry and as some of them are opening up about stuff. And it was just like, I don't know. I remember sitting there and just looking around and thinking, wow, this is it. Like, this is what I wanted to create, and it's happening right in front of me. It was very powerful. Yeah. So I'm still, it just happened, and I'm still reflecting on
I
this.
know. That's so
crazy.
special.
Very special. It was definitely a really special moment. The girls got really close with that. We got to shift into a pool party next, and everything was on site, which was so convenient. So we went into this pool party. And again, I kept thinking there's a big different age range. I wanted people to, it kind of to be like a bachelorette party that you actually want to go to, right? That you're like really excited about. And so many of the girls had never done anything like that before. So I set up like the cabana, and like we had these good lunches, and I challenged them to leave their insecurities at the door. And basically, we picked up some affirmations and connected with those, which was really cool. But also a lot of them, wore like they shared this with me later because I had challenged them to do this, but basically they were like, I'd never worn that suit before. I'd never worn a bathing suit without shorts. I'd never worn a two-piece. And then I had my photographer that I had, she was amazing. Originally, I was only going to have her come in the evening. And then I had this idea. I don't know if I told you this idea, but basically I was like, I think I want her to be there at the pool. Cause so often there were a lot of moms there. And so often as women, like, especially moms, like we're documenting everyone else's, experience, and we're taking their photos, and we're avoiding being in photos because that's like not our focus. And so she got to come in there, and I would basically told her like, be their hype women, hype them up. And they got to like take all these cute bathing suit like photos,
awesome.
which yeah. And I didn't tell them that originally because that can be a little intimidating. It can be a little scary, but I got some of the photos back, and they are so cute, Alex. I'm like obsessed with them.
I can't wait to see.
Yes, they're very, very cute. And so again, I'm standing there, and I'm recognizing that the connections are happening all around me, and I wasn't even having to like facilitate at that point at the pool. It was just I was there watching them get to know each other and open up and connect. And again, such a surreal experience because it was something I dreamed of for so long, and it was happening right in front of me. And then we shifted into the next aspect of the event. So they had a little break, and then we shifted into the evening aspect. And that was when they got to wear their cute outfits. Everyone cleaned up so nice. It was awesome. And we had like a final breakdown discussion. I, again, won't go into too many details on that, but really finishing out the Mean Girls idea of we're no longer focusing on those limiting beliefs. We're shifting towards, that most confident version of ourselves, and then challenging ourselves to take those small steps and what those could be. So asking them like, what's something you're going to do before the end of the month that gets you closer to that? And then what's something you're going to do by the end of the year? Because I think a lot of times people get so focused on, the big picture. Like I said, I get focused on the big picture, and then analysis paralysis. I'm like, I don't know where to start. I'm a little overwhelmed. I don't want to do anything. And then nothing happens. Right. So I'm trying to shift the thinking to small, sustainable change, like I do with my coaching in BCB. And that's really helping them shift their mindset as well. And so they're getting through the evening. We're having these really cute cocktails. We had a CBD gin cocktail I was obsessed with. Everyone loved it. It was really good. And then I surprised them because I love surprises throughout the weekend with a silent disco on the beach. And so everyone got their retreat t-shirts. We took really cute retreat photos. I had my photographer do some individual shots because so often we don't have those. I know in my industry I do, but like a lot of women don't. And so it was really cool to watch the girls. I didn't even have to cue them. They were hyping each other up. They were supporting each other. They were like, everyone was a woo girl that weekend, which is what I am. So I was so glad to see
You're just creating more of you.
Literally, I know I'm cloning me, which is terrible, but great at the same time. Oh man. But everyone was on the beach having so much fun. We came back, got on these headphones, and it was just so cool because if you guys haven't done have you done a silent disco, Alex?
I have, but not in the way that you did.
Okay. So we basically had these headphones from Silence Activations, and they set it up to have like 3 different channels. And so it was really cool because we had like old school hip hop, we had like a pop type channel, and then we had like the 70s, 80s disco. And so again, I told you it was like all different generations, right? And because we had a lot of mother daughters, which was cool. But they were on the beach, and everyone was dancing together on the beach under a full moon. Like literally the moon had come out. Everyone was dancing. Everyone was having so much fun. Some people were listening to old school Tupac. Other people were listening to like ABBA, but like everyone was having fun. And I didn't think I was like, I don't know if an hour, I feel like that's kind of long. And literally everyone was out there until we closed out for the night. And it was just a really, really amazing experience to watch people. I told them to basically go out there and just like not worry about anyone else around you, just fully embody everything that we talked about and like that vision for your life. And it was just so cool because that's exactly what they did. Like no one was worried about like who stopped and looked at us and who did that. It
Mm-hmm.
was just like amazing. It was so
Jordan,
fun. It was
you
really,
tricked
really
them.
cool.
You tricked them all into grounding.
I know. And so that's what's so funny, Alex, is like I talked about that in my talk. I was like talking about how, confidence doesn't work for everyone. Like the same steps towards confidence don't work for everyone. I was like, my mother-in-law, Brenda, like it wouldn't work for her to like get out into her yard in the middle of the day, like in the morning, like I do, and like jump and shake and ground. And I was like, it might not work for her the same way it works for me. And then I said, but let's try it. And then guess what? That's what we did. Everyone got to do grounding. She was dancing, my mom was dancing, every single person there. So it was really cool.
That's awesome.
It was awesome.
I'm glad the silent disco is fun because like I know that that I was skeptical about it. I was like,
You were.
because I've only been to a silent disco in a club with like a zillion people, and it's like dark.
Yep. And you're
And
like,
I'm like,
if
how
it's
is this? You're in
only,
the open.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm glad it was fun. I saw the Instagram stories and it looked like a lot of fun. I did love like in the sunset. It was like very, picturesque.
It was very, oh, and then it was so cool because we had the photographer was out there and she had on the headphones with us and she was like, I'm so glad I had these on because when you take them off, it's hilarious. But
Right.
everyone's singing. It's like if someone was like singing in the shower, basically, but
Mm-hmm.
times like a million because everyone's doing it. And so I was, I was like, this can either be really good or really awkward. Like no one's gonna like it. It's gonna be
Right.
terrible. And I was like, I'm gonna trust my gut on this one. Cause like you said, I love your sounding board. But you're like, that sounds a little crazy. And
I
it
was
ended
like,
up
yeah, go
being,
for it.
yeah, good luck with that. Let me know how it turns out. And it ended up being great. And so few people had done it. And one of my best friends, Rachel, had come that weekend. And she's actually the reason that I decided to do silent disco is because we went to Sweden. We went to Sweden Pride and like we were completely sober at Pride, had a silent disco and everyone had like different radio stations on or whatever. We were all dancing. Some Swedes were listening to like Swedish pop or whatever, and we were still all having so much fun. And I'm like, okay, if we can do this in a different country and still connect, I really think I could do this with like a different spectrum of ages, backgrounds, everything. And so I'm really glad it worked out though, because they could have not.
I'm so glad. Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people hate on silent discos until they try them.
Yeah.
And I went to one. I was then convincing all my friends to come like every first Friday or whatever it was in Dayton. But yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, see, that's cool. And that's a good point, kind of what you just said of like we skeptical of a lot of things until we try it. And I think that just goes to show like if we can just try it, like just try it first, like just put yourself out there, just go to the retreat by yourself, just sign up for the thing that you've been wanting to do but you've been a little intimidated about. And the last thing that was cool was like a lot of the girls were saying they were going to wait. They had a lot of goals of like waiting to do something until they lost like 10 pounds or something. And they're like, but after your talk, I'm doing it now. Cause that's like a big thing that I talk about. It's like, stop waiting to live your life until you're a certain size or make a certain amount of money or something like that. So I'm just glad that theme that I was trying to have go into their lives and leave with is like already happening, even at the event with the disco. It was cool.
Oh, I'm so excited to hear like how many not like how many dreams you launched. That sounds really cheesy, but like what
all happens.
You planted. Yeah, like what's going to come out of this now that they're inspired to take action and not be waiting.
I mean, I love that. That's like what I love is like BCB with Body Confident Blueprint. Like I have my girls, we're creating a foundation and then they're going and doing it themselves. And so I love keeping up with them like a year later and seeing what all they do. And it's really, really cool because a lot of the girls there at the retreat were like business owners or were starting their own business. We had one girl who was, into Reiki, which was really cool. And she had just gone full time. Oh, I'll tell you about her. So them being able to like take it beyond just their bodies and like even going into their businesses or their future or their retirement. Some of the people are unsure about that. And it was just really, really cool to see everyone having like a different idea, everyone coming from a different point in their self-love journey and still being able to pull something so beautiful from that weekend. So
Yeah.
it's
And
very, very cool.
it goes to show your message, isn't restricted to someone in their 20s or something who's just getting started.
Exactly.
Like there's so many points in your life where you're basically starting over or
So
making a
many.
change.
It's so true. That is like
Mhm.
so true. And I think it's very easy. That was one of the things I said. It's very easy for us to like use the limiting beliefs, the mean girl thought of like, I'm too old, it's too late for me, I'm too behind. And it's just that's not the case. Where everyone's on their own timeline. And sometimes you need to go through a lesson a couple different times at different times in your life. Like the lessons that I learned from this retreat, a lot of them I'd had to go through in different aspects of my life previously, but this was just on a deeper level with this new aspect that I've never done before, with hosting a live event like this that I've never done before. And it didn't make it easier, but it did help me that I had those tools already in place so I could really use them going into this next phase of leveling up with myself and with my business.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so the silent disco ended. Everyone was exhausted. I also feel like I tricked people into working out, which is so fun because
How
it
dare
was like,
you?
I know, how dare I? Because they ended up running like a 5K or walking a 5K either way. They were outside in the pool playing around. They were, walking all the different places because everything was on site. And then they like went out to the beach and did a silent disco. I was more sore than I'd been in so long. It was crazy. But it was just a really cool way to like get in touch with your body without it needing to feel like work. I hate the word
Right.
workout. I hate the word workout because I think we as women, and I'll do a podcast on this later, but we as women associate like anything like that and start to have a bad connotation with it. And so I'm just really glad that people got to like kind of fall back in love with movement in a way that felt very like authentic with themselves and kind of find like that play again. And I wanted them to do that. We had like coloring, we had a fashion show, we had dancing on the beach, we had like playing in the pool, just all the things that so many, especially women, as we get older, we take on this role, whatever that is, as wife, as mother, as provider, as boss babe, and we leave the joy of like, being present with ourselves, with the world behind. And so to be able to get back in touch with that and grounded with that was just a really cool thing to do with myself as well as with all the girls that were there. So
Mhm.
that was really cool. And then basically the final Sunday we did yoga, and I loved this because the resort had this rooftop at their new building. So I set it up on the rooftop. We did rooftop yoga. And while I was there, one of the girls who does Reiki, she did Reiki over us while we were doing yoga, which was so cool.
Jealous.
Because again, it was something that like a lot of people maybe wouldn't have been open to, but because we were already in this experience together, like it was able to happen very just naturally. And that was really, really cool. And the weather was perfect and everyone was just outside and taking it all in. And it was just a really cool way to round off the week and again, come back into our bodies and like show ourselves that love. And a lot of them like wanted more. So they finished up and they're like, okay, how do I work with you? And we, I have some girls that are going to be starting this next round of BCB that joined from the retreat. So it's just really cool and exciting to see that they're wanting to continue on with the things that they took from this weekend. So it was wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Oh
Oh, I saw the little pictures of the rooftop too.
my gosh,
I've been
so
keeping
cute.
track. It was
I
so
know.
cute.
I'm like, just stalk me. It's fine. No, it was so cute. I loved that. I thought that was really cool. It was intimidating slash really cool to hear a lot of these girls were like, are you having it next year? Like, we want to all get a beach house here together because there's beach houses on the Wild Dunes Resort, like the one that we're
Mhm.
staying in. And they're like, we want to all get a beach house together and like come next year and blah, 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 blah. And it was really, I was like, this is awesome that you guys are already thinking about next year. I was like, my brain needs to just think about this year. But it was still it was really cool. I loved it. Very
Oh,
happy.
I'm so glad you're riding this high.
Yes, definitely still there. Still processing, to be honest.
I know. Oh
hmm
my gosh. Well, I'm really proud of you that you did it.
Me too. I'm really proud too. I'm glad. Um, I haven't done something like this and ever, obviously, but then also just I've been doing my business. I've been working with BCB clients. I've been doing that for almost 3 years now. So I kind of got into a rhythm of, I knew my script. I know what I'm doing. So to put myself out there and try something new, I'm always telling my clients to do that, right? I'm telling them to, you know, lean into the discomfort in order to grow. And I feel like I did this again and again and again. I was just leaning into that discomfort because I truly did not know what I was doing. And now I feel like I've grown so much just in like a year and a half and then in 72 hours as well. So it's pretty cool. I'm very, very, very grateful for this experience for sure. But Alex, thank you for like helping me process this. Like always, you're always helping me with these things. But just having you here was awesome. Because I have all these thoughts going on in my head. So being able to really break it down with you is great. And I know that there'll be more reflections to come, but to be able to do this like immediately after the event ended is pretty special.
Well, I loved hearing about it.
Yay, awesome. Well, thank you.
I'll be at the next one.
Yes, I know. We won't be in maybe we won't be in Germany. I know, date pending.
We'll see.
We'll see. We shall see. I'll keep you updated, but I appreciate you so much for being here today.
Oh, well, thank you. It was a lot of fun.
Yes. Awesome. Thanks, girl.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks again for listening to Confidently Uncomfortable. I love being able to connect with you here and honestly don't want it to end. So head over to my Facebook group, Body Confident Blueprint, and be sure to follow me on Insta at J.Go Fit Life. Also, if you're ready to get real confidently uncomfortable, go leave this podcast a 5-star review and email me the review screenshot, support@jgofit360.com, for a chance to win a free 30-minute fitness audit and goal setting session. I appreciate your support. See you next time.